Hello, hello. Welcome to today's live. I want to chat with you today about being a woman of character, as you can see from the title, but also about something that happened last week that made me realize how it's really not about getting what we want. Getting what we want is not actually what matters. Who we are being is what actually matters. And I'm going to share with you a few stories so that you really feel it in your core. So, let me share with you the story of what happened last week that got me on this train of thought. And I was actually at work and I was speaking with this gentleman who I was helping. And I could just tell by the nature of the interaction and the patterns that I was seeing that this was somebody who was very accustomed to pushing boundaries to get what they want, right? Because anytime he would ask me a question and I would explain what could be done, it would always be followed up by, okay, but I know that's the rule, but can you just get around it for me? Or can you just make an exception for me? Well, why don't you just, on the down low, do this for me? And it wasn't just a one off or a twice off, it was for every single thing. And I half jokingly said, oh, you told me that you're in this career, because he told me what he did for work. I said, but you should really be in sales. Because a lot of what is taught in mainstream sales is extractive and predatory. So, what makes the difference, right, between when you are being extractive versus when you're not? It's whether or not you're interested in the consent of the other person, right? Is this person, am I here just to get what I want? Am I here just to make the sale at whatever cost? Or am I actually interested in the other person consenting to this interaction? Am I actually interested in building a dynamic of goodwill between us, not one where I am just extracting from them to get what I want? Because that interaction left a bad taste in my mouth. And after joking about that, his line of work not aligning with who he is as a person, he explained to me actually that his he also worked, I'm not going to say exactly which field, but he worked in an industry where essentially their job was to find loopholes and ways to get around things. And that's when everything made sense. Oh, my light just went out, but we're gonna rock and roll without the light. And I said, okay, that makes sense. And the thing that stuck the nail in the head for me was when I was sorting something out for him, and then he reached over into my space, grabbed my pen and post-it, and started writing with it without asking. And you might think, oh, that's really small. It's just a post-it, it's just a pen. But majority of people ask. Even though they know the answer is going to be yes, they're going to ask because there's a sense of respect and checking with the other person before you take something of theirs and use it. It's those small areas of consideration that are really revealing of your character. Just like if you go to the gym and you put your weights back, wipe your stuff down, right? Or use a towel, make sure you keep things clean. It's the little things that reveal the respect that you have for the people around you and for the environment around you. And so I could see that the man I was interacting with was someone who walks through life with this concept that winning equates to getting what you want. Getting what you want. And I think most people walk through life thinking that that is winning too. That as so long as you get what you want, you've won. But there are a million ways to get what you want, right? You want money? Go out on the street today. Go rob an elderly lady. You'll have cash in your pocket, right? Because old people are the only ones who carry cash nowadays anyway. Okay, don't do that. Do not do that. Protect the old people, okay? But you hear what I'm saying? Is just getting what you want at whatever cost really a win? Is it a win if you've gotten what you want from someone, but you've left just an awful taste in their mouth? Is it a win if you've gotten what you want from someone, but they would never want to have any sort of relationship with you after that interaction? Because after that interaction with him and just the pattern, right? I've only mentioned one or a few things that I saw, but this was a repeated pattern many, many times during our quite long interaction. And after that, I was like, this is not someone I would ever want to have any sort of relationship with, whether it be business, whether it be friendship, whether it be any, and no. Don't you want to leave people feeling better off after you've interacted with them? Don't you want to leave people feeling like you've actually connected human to human, like you've actually looked at them and valued them as a human being, not just as a resource or something that you can extract from? That is what being a woman of character means. It's not just looking at people or things as things that you can get what you want from. But how can you leave people feeling better off after they've interacted with you? And nobody's perfect, right? We all have our off days. And we all have our moments where we're like, "Oh crap, I could have handled that better." But I'm not talking about the off moments. I'm talking about how you walk through life the majority of the time. What is the intention that you walk through life with? How do you want to carry yourself and handle situations? That is what matters, and that is what people remember. We think we want everything now and immediately. We think we want, the success, and we think we want all of the friendships and the relationships and everything. We want it right now. But usually, the path where you get it really quickly is the one where you haven't shaped your character. Just like that man, he probably gets what he wants really quickly because he bulldozes through people and doesn't care about getting their consent, doesn't care about building relationship safety. It's just about, let me get what I want. So he probably gets there really quickly. But is that who you want to be? Let me give you the example of my experience on social media. I thought, okay, I want to build a community and share all these things that I'm passionate about and help these women. Okay, in the beginning stages, when I was early on in the journey and I had a lot to learn, what did community look like to me? It looked like, okay, I need to grow my followers. Okay, how do I grow my followers? I need to go viral. Okay, how do I go viral? I need to follow XYZ rule to please the algorithm to get all of these eyes on me. Boom. Okay, I kept on doing it. First account did it. Second account did it. Couldn't avoid it. It happened very quickly because I was focused on that one thing. Go viral, follow the rules to go viral. And what kept on happening? I kept on hitting a wall where it just something felt hollow. And it's taken me all of these years of refining and shaping and reflecting on my character. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to walk? How do I want to feel? How do I want to make people feel? What kind of space do I want to build? Is this the way that I want to do it? Do I want to be constantly engaging in the dopamine hitty stuff? Okay, what does community really look like to me? As I sit into that more, it looks less and less like the 5-second, 30-second, 60-second short dopamine hitty reels that hit the masses. I thought I wanted it all back then. And then when it came quickly, I realized, oh, hold up. So the longer it's taking you on your journey, the better. Because you are shaping and refining all of these nuances. You are building your character along the way. That's what really matters. And that's what makes you proud of yourself at the end of the day, is not achieving the thing, right? Are you really going to be proud of yourself for saying, yeah, I have more money in my pocket because I stole from that elderly woman down the street? No. You want to look back on your journey and say, yes, I did this with integrity. I, amended mistakes and I stood by myself and I didn't sway from my values. And if I ever did, then I made sure to get right back on track. That's what gives you that feeling of pride and love and fulfillment within yourself. Not getting the thing. It always comes down to your character. Even in friendship and health, for example, right? I remember, I'd always longed for like a best friend, right? And when I was in my, especially in my kind of late teen, early 20s, when I was just like so lost, I was like, nobody gets me. I just wish that somebody would get me, that I could have a friend who could really see me and understand me. And I wanted it right then and there, immediately, tomorrow, show up. But I didn't realize that I did not have the capacity to hold that. I remember I had a friend who, we were really, really close when we were younger, and we kind of drifted apart as we got older. But I remember her sending me a message, something about apologizing, for her not being the best friend. And at that time, I did not have the capacity to receive her message. I just kind of looked at it and brushed it off and was like, whatever. Because there had been certain ways that I'd felt really hurt. When in fact, I could have taken that opportunity had I had the capacity to lean into that and say, you know what, thank you so much for taking the time to write out that message and for even thinking about it and opening up honest conversation. And that could have been a chance for us to get closer and build a stronger friendship from a more honest foundation. But I didn't have the skills or the capacity at that time. When I wanted to lose weight, right? Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. And I was like, okay, let me figure out the way to do it in the most efficient way possible. And so if you're in the gym world at all, you'll know that, you track your macros, you track your calories, progressive overload at the gym, building muscle, this, that, okay, all of it. And so I was tracking what I was eating every single day. And it got pretty restrictive, I'm not gonna lie, right? I thought I was doing a great job because I was like, yeah, I'm doing so good, I'm losing the weight and whatnot. And then I realized, hold up, this is really restrictive. Is this how I'm going to live for the rest of my life? Am I going to weigh out my tomato sauce for the rest of my life? I'm sorry, but I am a tomato sauce hoe. And I will be squeezing like 50 grams of tomato sauce on anything that I eat. Is this really sustainable? Is this who I want to walk through life as, someone who is so hyper-focused on my food and calculating every freaking calorie and tracking it into the app for the rest of my life? No. So now I'm like, okay, who do I want to walk through life as? I want to have ease around food, and I want to eat well, and I want to treat my body well, and I want to do it with ease and not stress. Okay, what does that look like? Now that I've experienced what I don't want it to look like, let me shift. Let me recalibrate. Okay, what might that look like? That might look like, for me right now, it's developing just a more neutral relationship with food. Learning to lean into body cues, not freaking obsessing over eating 200,000 grams of protein every single day. I don't have to optimize every single thing. Optimize my protein to make sure that I'm building as much muscle as possible, to make sure I'm, blah, blah, blah. That's not how I want to live for the rest of my life. I don't want to feel constricted all the time. I want to feel expansive. And so, you know what? I've gained a few kilos in the process, but that's okay. Because it's about the long run. It's not about having it all right now. I can immediately restrict and go back to the weight that I was. But I don't want to do that. I'm going to recalibrate and figure out a way to be feeling good in my body and in my mind and at ease. So I really hope it hits home today that in life, it's truly not about getting what you want right here, right now. It's about, who are you being on this journey? Are you proud of the person that you are being on the way to getting what it is that you want? Because if you're not, then none of it matters. And let the journey be messy, but always have that intention. You're going to do things and you're going to be like, oh, that felt out of alignment, but let me recalibrate. And always lead with heart, right? Not from an extractive place of seeing other people as a means to an end, because they remember how that makes them feel. And I remember when I wanted to have those friends, but then I would discard them whenever something went wrong, right? I didn't have the capacity to have those conversations. And what happens when you discard people? You break connection. It's about who you're being, not about getting what you want right now. Okay. Thank you for joining, everyone. Hello, hello. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, Anna, Samantha, Raina, Diana, Sabina, Susan. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm really leaning more into these long form lives. And I'm actually considering just moving to YouTube to do more of this chatty stuff, because I feel like it's the way that Instagram kind of organizes these things. It's just more difficult to go back and watch. So I'm sitting on that. I'll see how I feel and what I will decide to do there. And I will keep you updated. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And I will chat with you again in the next one. See you guys. Bye.